I got the keys, I get to work. I am the man, you know what I'm saying? So leave it to me, cause I get it first. Yeah.
Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome as we deck the halls and welcome you to the WORC Santa Short Track Shootout for the Bristol Motor Speedway on the virtual side, right here on the KBueno Racing Network. Happy to have you join us as we kick off our holiday season, and of course, right here in the booth, my name is Kenneth Bueno. Going to be on the solo job for tonight, but nonetheless, going to still try to bring you all the action as we get head here from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. This is one of the one-off events that we have here tonight, so it'll just be no points, no chase, no nothing. Just have fun, kick back, relax, and just try your best here at this track, and especially with this combo. It'll be street stocks right here at Bristol at the Lascar Coliseum, so it is definitely going to be some sort of heap of fun, and we're going to try to get all the action as we continue on through. And of course, it's just about 2 days out from Christmas Day, so of course, happy holidays to everybody that celebrates it, whether you celebrate Hanukkah, whether you celebrate Christmas, whether you celebrate any other sort of holiday. Of course, we wish our happy holidays over to you, as right now you're looking at about 1 minute and 10 seconds left in the qualifying session. So we have a couple drivers already on that qualifying session. You can look over on the top of your screen at the horizontal ticker. It'll be DJ Powell at the head of the board, right, with Dylan Basin and Dominic Howe, the top three, separated by pretty much less than 0.05 of a second right now on the qualifying board, and still a little bit of time left, so maybe some time for some drivers to get over. The laps are at about 16 seconds at its fastest, at about a 16:4.18 is that fastest time so far in the qualifying session. So we'll just have to see how everything goes. We're going to have heat racing here tonight, so of course we're going to have some guys that make it in through heats, and we're going to have, of course, the transfers. We're going to have a last chance qualifier, and then we'll push into the feature event that'll last a little while, and we'll take our look as we go into tonight and a little bit further as we move forward, and just try to have a little fun here at the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. Just going to give a little more track info here tonight of what we're expecting to see with our KBRN Race Info presented by SDC. And of course, the Bristol Motor Speedway, a track at about 0.5 miles, also known as one and a half greatest half mile, the fastest half mile. We've got 4 turns, of course, since this is an oval. Track elevation at about 1,472. With the track temp at 78 degrees, of course, located all the way in Bristol, Tennessee. That's where this track is famously known. And always what this track is all about, more of a stadium type feel of what this track always brings out to the sim, especially when you look forward. And right now, you're looking at all the drivers sitting on the grid. This is for heat number 1. This would be 10 laps here from Bristol. It'll be just about 7 drivers, and you see the first 2 there on the grid. That'll be DJ Powell in the 3:56, who got the fastest time in qualifying. He'll be starting alongside the number 15 of Marshall Ryder. Alexander Gengler, the number 84, will be right behind, with Henry Clappert in the 34. All right, on the outside of row number 2, Matthew McDonald and James Youngman will be this final row. Richard Mendonça was supposed to be the 7th driver. So far, he has not hit the button just to go on the grid just yet. So we'll see whether he ends up on the grid, and there he is indeed. Richard Mendonça going to be the final driver into this 10-lap heat from Bristol Motor Speedway. And you can see right there, right behind the IBC official pace truck, they're going to wait for it to give the signal and head on out. And there it goes before we head over and start the green flag and kick off tonight's Santa Short Track Shootout. So it'll be Powell, Ryder, and some of these drivers, of course, name stakes in the WORC side of things. Of course, DJ Powell being one of them. And guys like Marshall Ryder, if you've watched the KBueno Racing Network, you know him from the AB Outdoors Quick Time Sprint Car Series. He picked up a win over there at Volusia. That was his first league win at that point, so it's good to see him in. Henry Clapper. Haven't seen Alexander Gengler in any of our leagues on this broadcasting network just yet, but it's good to see some of the new faces that we've yet to see on the iRacing service, and good to see at least what they can do on the WORC side of things. We don't usually broadcast WORC, we don't usually broadcast their league, so this is kind of a new taste into what this league is all about. Can give us a little shootout, can give us a little fun, and could also give a great preview as to what WORC has in store, especially since they've already ran a street stock season prior, and they're already running one of the truck series seasons that they're already going to get underway. I believe very, very shortly, in just a little bit, they're going to kick off their truck series, and of course WORC will head on through there. So we'll get over our final pace lap, and the pace truck will slowly head its way out of turn 3 and 4. We'll have DJ Powell and Marshall Ryder be the first two at the head of this field, and they will be the first to see the green flag in this heat. Remember, 10 laps, very, very quick around this racetrack. Not much room for braking. You're going to have to try to carry momentum all the way throughout. Pace truck all the way down to the safety of pit road. Marshall Ryder with a good start, and we are under green in the first heat. 10 laps here from Bristol, and already you can tell Powell lagged on that restart. He's all the way to the bottom in second, as Marshall Ryder has found his way to the heat lead. Clapper trying to look to the outside with help from the 8 car. A little loose there as the 34 going to try to pinch all the way down to the bottom. You can see just how these street stocks are. Not much power underneath the hood, but you have to really take this as a momentum-based track, especially even short tracks like these. You don't really brake as much in these cars. You kind of lay off the throttle just a little bit, as you see the 356 of Powell will keep that position and shut the door right there on Clapper in the 34. But meanwhile, there's obviously still, these tracks are more momentum-based than anything else. You have almost full throttle through the entire way out, maybe laying off the throttle, maybe a dab of brake, but it's not as much as the usual cars that we see over here. If you look over at the super late models, that obviously requires some brake. You look at the NASCAR Cup Series cars, that requires braking. The trucks and the Xfinity cars as well, they also have braking when it comes down to this track, because of course it's a short track. They have a lot more power, so they can actually hold it around there, and they would have to slow down just a little bit. Right now, we're already halfway through this first team. Marshall Ryder has been leading the whole way through. He's kind of been guiding the whole field single file for the most part. There was about 2 wide action a little further back where you saw James Youngerman, but Youngerman is falling back, and Mendonça has been involved in an incident already on lap 5, so he's already out of this one. He's definitely going to have to transfer over to the last chance qualifier. Hopefully he can find his way into the feature event. But right now, it's looking good over from this top 2. Getting about 4 laps to go at the line. It is still all the way. Remember, this is the 8 heat races. They're all 10 laps long. The top 2 would transfer, so of course Powell and Ryder looking in the catbird seat. Clapper really has to chase by about maybe just almost 1 second complete in order to try and catch the top 2 as they continue to work around. Kind of a 3-car train here, starting with Clapper, then McDonald, and Gengler in the number 84 Allegiant machine, and they're going to have to find their way back into the main event. Remember, the main event is 100 laps, so we still have a long way to go until we get there. We're going to have to find the field there. And meanwhile, Marshall Ryder going to come into turn 3 and 4. He's going to take the white flag one more time around in this first heat. Powell and Ryder seem to be very comfortable in the 3 and 4 as Powell tried the last-ditch effort, but these top 2 is Marshall Ryder will win heat number 1. Powell will be second. They will transfer to the A main. Clapper will finish third. Gengler will be fourth as he got by McDonald, who I believe has not been there to start-finish line. I think Youngerman just got by just a little bit, and Richard Mendonça with that damage. He will be 7th on the grid, and he'll be the final driver to make that start, at least in trying to claw their way through the LCQ. We're going to have 10 more laps, 1 other heat to get through. And, of course, we'll start them all the way on the front straightaway, right to the start-finish line. It'll be Dylan Basin at the head of this one, right alongside the number 89 of Mitch Hobbs. Right to his outside, Anthony Wallace in the number 800 will start from 3rd, with Ryan Martin in the number 9. Starting in 4th, Josh Patterson, Nova Sim Racing driver, will be 5th, with Max Urich in 6th. He's yet to hit the trigger on the grid button to get on just yet. And Patrick Jenks will be in the number 23. He'll be listed as the final driver, and I don't think we have Max Urich getting onto the track just yet. So Jenks will take over 6. So we'll have about 6 to 7 cars. We'll see whether Urich is going to end up getting onto the grid. And I don't believe he is. So at least it looks like we're going to have a start without Urich in this second heat. Remember, top 2 will make it in. So we'll see with this competitiveness just how the drivers will try to find their way into the top 2. I know Basin, Hobbs, they are very, very competitive drivers. They've worked themselves around each other and competed against each other as well. Josh Patterson a little bit further back. Ryan Martin, Wallace could show something that we haven't seen from them at all. And Patrick Jenks could also claw from the back of the field and try something at least. It's still 10 laps. There's not a long time, but it could be sufficient in order to try to make some moves, especially if everybody is kind of all together in the same sort of proximity, and then we can have that kind of effort move over. And we'll see what just happens. We're going to take a look at our weather, see exactly what conditions we're working with here tonight. 78 degrees, as I mentioned. The same on the track surface. Wind directions over to the west-southwest at about 1 mile per hour, with humidity at 1%, fog at 0. We've got partly cloudy skies to look over. No worry about weather. No worry about that really affecting the track, as opposed to maybe some additional grip down there onto the racetrack under the lights. Pace truck will make its way all the way to the left, and we will be under green in the second heat as Basin and Hobbs lead them out. Still side by side between the top 2. Hobbs a little bit loose up the ground, and he's going to be a little easy on the throttle, but the 9 of Ryan Martin gets collected in as the innocent bystander. He's going to have to get back up to speed, but he's going to lose a lot of ground in the process to Jenks and the rest of these guys as Hobbs will file into second. He is still not in control as he's into the outside wall. He's going to lose 2 spots to Patterson and Wallace, maybe even Jenks to the inside. So the driver who started second is already in trouble as Basin continues to lead. Patterson and Wallace fighting for that second transfer spot. Still side by side. You can see how that outside is just trying to get some sort of move off the corner. Jenks though all the way to the inside wall. He's going to lose that spot to Hobbs. We'll see how far Ryan Martin is, and unfortunately he seems to be done in this heat. He is pretty much all the way synced in a pit road and stopped all the way down there. It seems as though it's still a dogfight between the 02 and the 800 as they're still working forward side by side. The 800 still looking to the inside toward the apron. That 02 slowly getting the run off of each and every turn. That's something here at Bristol that you can try to notice with these cars specifically, is that you can try to make a run, draft up to the high side, and you can get the run off the corners. You saw Patterson just made the move over for second with 5 laps to go. You can get that outside working. You can find a way to use the banking to your advantage with the way that these cars don't really have much power underneath the hood, and then you can try to power your way to the outside and make that move much like Patterson just did there. Bad news though for the 800 of Wallace. He's gonna have to try to catch back up. He's kind of lost a little bit of a 10th towards the 02 in order to try to get up to him and try to put something of a run and put himself in it to the main event. But I'll tell you, these two are slowly catching up to the race leader, and the heat leader has been using that high side. It was about 4/10 last time by. It was a little bit more over 4.333. It's kind of gone up to 4.6, or at least 0.46, excuse me, as they're slowly trying to catch the leader with 2 laps to go at Bristol. Basin over off of turn 4, going to take the white flag one more time in heat number 2. Going to use all the way to the outside wall to his advantage. Patterson going to look over. Wallace going to have one more shot at getting that second spot. Here comes Patterson with a dive. Is there contact? Yes, there is. They're both around. Here comes Wallace. He's going to get the worst of it, but at the line, Basin gets it. Patterson, actually Wallace goes for second. Patterson a third. Patterson will move to the LCQ, or at least the other mains. Wallace barely gets in. We'll take a replay and see exactly how that started. Of course, it started with that move by the Nova Sim Racing driver. Get up to him. He was a look all the way from the number 800 of Wallace. You could see the 02 looking to the inside. This is coming to the white flag. And it's actually just cut short as we're going into the next heat. So we'll find our way into the third heat of the evening. We'll have just about 6 drivers here, so a little bit less, maybe even just 4 on the grid, depending if the other 2 will decide to get on to the grid. Dominic Howell will be on the pole for this third heat, right alongside the number 31 of Benjamin White. Good to see him out on the track tonight. Don't really see him at much sim racing events, but at least in this one, it's good to see him out sporting the Goodwrench colors, going to try to capture a win and move on. Joe Kanako over in the number 812. He will be there in that AK Steel Machine. He will be in third with Paul Granada, Nova Sim Racing driver, up in fourth. Peter Kenny will be fifth, and Casey Fliegel will be in sixth. But those two, Kenny and Fliegel alike, will not be starting this heat. Seems as though they did not go on the grid. I guess they'll wait over until the other chances to get in and try to get into the 100 lap feature event from Bristol Motor Speedway. So we'll have this little pace lap here. We'll get 4 cars on the grid. Remember, 2 still advance into the main event, so we will have that go under effect as we move forward. And just a reminder that if you want to join the conversation with us up in the KBRN booth, you can do so by using hashtag AskKBRN. You can put your hashtag with that question. You can ask anything you like up here. Of course, within regards to appropriate reason, you can put that over in the chat. We'll be sure to answer it just as soon as you send it, and to the best of our abilities. So coming off the turn 3 and 4, this should be the final stretch around to the front straightaway, and we should have the green flag come here very, very shortly when it comes down going over to this green flag in the third heat. Indeed, the pace truck will make its way to the left. Howell will be the first one to see the green flag. He's up and away. We're gone for heat number 3. 10 laps. And almost contact there between White and Nako. They're still working together as the 812 going to look to the inside. He's going to wash up the track. Contact with the 31 that's going to move the 04 into the space. Remember, this is the battle for the final transfer spot. Howell, though, a little bit slow there on the bottom. May have gotten checked up just a little bit, but he's going to try and hold on to the race lead. This is way closer than what we saw in every other heat so far. Paul Granada going to be the bottom. Nako going to get into trouble. He's almost around. He's going to save it, but the second spot goes to the 04 of Granada for now. And they're still single file. They were about 2 by 2 for just a little bit. White, who started over in second, will be in third, but he has a little bit of ground to make up to get up to Granada in time. Remember, this is lap number 3 now, lap number 4 of the 10 scheduled laps. There's not a lot of time to get around this racetrack as much as the others. Of course, when you have longer stretches of tracks, you can probably gain some time in some sort of stretch of the imagination. But here at Bristol, you get a blink of an eye, you're already completed a lap. Another blink of an eye, you're completed maybe 3-5 laps. So this track is very, very short, especially even with these cars that are even underpowered. It does take a little bit, about 16 seconds. It doesn't even take that long to get around this track, as Hal gets the halfway mark here for the third heat. He continues to lead with about 5 laps to go, shortly over Paul Granada, and White still holding on for third as Nako all the way in the 812 with that contact. He's lost all that time. He's down to fourth. Dominic Howell, one of those drivers that you would probably find on the street stock side of things. If you watch the KBueno Racing Network a little bit earlier, just a couple of months back, especially through the summer months, you could see him over on the ISCAR side of things when we covered the ISCAR KBRN Street Stock Tour, or if you watch that over most of those races that were on MaxB TV. Some of them over were here on the KBueno Racing Network, especially the one at Dover. Saw Dominic Howell in that race, and he was one of the strong contenders in the street stock side, along with his proximity teammate Hunter Johnson. Those drivers were, at the time, a proximity teammates, so they were both together, and they worked really well, as Hal was very, very strong. He's going to get the white flag here, though, in heat number 3. He'll continue to lead by just short of a second, 0.849 last time by to Paul Granada. Granada should be locked in to the second spot in order to transfer over to the A main, with Benjamin White not having enough time to get there. And off turn 4, Hal will take the heat win, with Granada second, Benjamin White third, and Joe Nako over in the 4th spot. Peter Kenny and Casey Fliegel, who did not start, were sitting 5th and 6th over on the grid. So now we have a little bit of our a countdown here. We're gonna have about 3 minutes, so we'll just have a little bit of time to go through. I believe this is one of the warm-up sessions, and this will be, I believe, a little warm-up for the last chance qualifier. So we have a couple of these drivers moving into this group specifically. Actually, it is a relatively different selection of drivers. Have some of them who made it through the first couple of heats, and then the drivers who did not enter, and the drivers who failed to make that top 2 transfer position. So we'll see what just happens as we continue to move forward. And now we have a little bit of time to kind of catch our breaths, get a little bit of a sense of what we're dealing with here, and kind of hang on as we watch every driver around the track put some laps in, try to do the best that they can, get a little fast lap, get some preparation, and warm their cars up before we get going here from the Bristol Motor Speedway. If you want to find out what is left at least next for the KBueno Racing Network, well, we have coverage at least in just a couple of weeks' time. We won't have any broadcasts throughout the rest of this week, of course, due to obviously Christmas Eve, Christmas holidays, and the holiday season, of course, giving a little break to everybody, including ourselves at the KBueno Racing Network. However, though, we will have coverage on December 28th. That'll be, I believe, next Monday. But just to clarify, yes, indeed, next Monday, a little bit earlier in the day, we'll have the A&B Outdoors Quick Time Sprint Car Series as they continue their stretch, and they will continue their season as we move forward. Already had the outdoor kickoff, the Volusia Florida Nationals, and then our final night of the Florida Nationals over at USA International Speedway. So we'll continue our coverage there. Most likely we'll give you an update on what time it is due to its constraint with the iRacing Bungeon Lawn Care Series, which will most likely return next week on December 28th. That'll be, actually, I don't believe they're going December 28th. Could be over into the next week. However, though, we'll try to catch up with the officials, as tomorrow night will be the Bungeon Eve, and that'll be over with Cup cars at the iRacing Super Speedway. So that'll be a little fun event for everybody, including ourselves as broadcasters. No broadcast will be featured for that event. If you just want to join, if you're part of the Bungeon Lawn Care Series, of course, you can find that out, and you can try to join your way in, and it'll be some sort of a fun for that league. But when we return to action, we'll have our coverage of that league as they continue to the Darlington Raceway, and one of the final races that'll give some drivers some sort of shot before we get to the Bungeon Lawn Care Series playoffs in race number 10. And then after coming back, we'll reach over to January 3rd, which will be our return to Sunday Night NASCAR, and that'll be back on Sunday. No races this Sunday. I don't believe races next Sunday. We'll have them on January 3rd. That'll be the next time we visit Sunday Night NASCAR. They'll be live from the Watkins Glen International Speedway, the road course. That'll be a lot of fun to stretch as they continue to move over into their round of 8. Well, so now it seems as though we've got by everything. Didn't seem we had as many drivers as we expected. So we are already into our main event, 100 laps. Here, our feature event here in the WORC Street Stocks Santa Short Track Shootout. So we'll have our field. It'll be about 20 drivers, and we'll go through them at the starting grid. Marshall Ryder will be the first one after winning his heat. He'll start on the pole with Dylan Basin over on the 08. He'll be in the second spot. Don McCow in third, who won his heat respectively. He'll start on the inside of row number 2 alongside the number 356 of DJ Powell. Anthony Wallace in the 800, who barely made it in through his heat after passing Paul Granado sitting to his outside. He's going to start 5th as Granado will be 6th. 7th place will be Henry Clappert. 8th will be Josh Patterson, who just showed up on the racetrack. Benjamin White will be 9th. Alexander Gengler will be 10th. Patrick Jenks will be 11th. Joe Nacco in 12th. Youngman 13th. Mitch Hobbs over in the 14th spot. Peter Kenny will be sitting 15th with Matthew McDonald in 16th. Ryan Martin will be sitting 17th with Casey Flegel, Richard Mendonça, and Max Urich rounding out this top 20. Maybe though, don't believe we have 20 drivers, as Kenny, Flegel, and Urich have not found their way into this race. So we might have just a little bit, sort of about, say, 17, 18 drivers. As you look at the rows all the way through the end here. As we'll try to go live here, and we'll try to go 100 laps. Cautions will be enabled, so we will have that gone on. If we do have trouble on the track, we'll try to get that to the best of our abilities. And of course, we're going to try see who wins the Santa Short Track Shootout. And we'll have all of our coverage here as we continue on. Basin kind of lagging back on the start. Not sure whether this is just strategy or whether he's just kind of hanging there before we get to the green flag. He'll kind of catch back up to speed to the outside of the 15. And we will get to our green flag very, very shortly. So here comes Marsh Ryder and Dylan Basin. Pace truck gonna find its way to the safety of pit road, all the way to the left-hand side. 100 laps to decide here right before we continue our holiday season in the next few days. Green flag out as Basin and Ryder lead this field to the green. They're all stacked up 2 by 2 by 2, almost 3 to 4 rows deep, as the 0-2 of Patterson will try to find his way to the outside of Henry Clapper. They're already 2 groups separated, but so far Ryder holding strong to the inside. He's got help from Dominic Howe. And already a caution, lap number 1. We'll find out who was involved, and it must have involved Patrick Jenks, Matthew McDonald perhaps, and maybe Mitch Hobbs, who suffered a little bit of damage there. We'll try to get a replay for you and see exactly where that started. It started a little bit further back in this field. You had that second group already apparent. Here's a look from the 23, and it looks like it must have involved Mitch Hobbs, who got collected in this. They were working over into the first couple of turns. This was that second group that formed after the first group had their sort of organization. You see over here into turn 3 and 4, the 23 all the way to the bottom. Seems as though he washes up the track and then collects the 89 of Hobbs, the 01 of McDonald. Ryan Martin also had a piece of that as well. Seems as though he was able to save it though with a little tag to the outside, to the inside walk, excuse me. We got it right here. The 23 gets into the 89. The 01 just has nowhere to go. And then down the track, tagging the 9. Mendonça was able to escape away, as Jenks had to go all the way to a stop to make sure that he wasn't really involved as much. Did not get as much damage as he could have. So under our first yellow on the first lap here from Bristol Motor Speedway. And usually I'd have another person into the booth with me to kind of give ourselves a conversation, try to bring over and try to bring some of the talking points here at Bristol. I mean, if you watched some of the IceCar KBRN Street Stock Tour over on MaxB TV, which happened a little bit over the summer months, you saw the guys here and how much of a chaotic race it was, and just how the drivers are working to the outside. Drivers are finding ways to draft on the inside, and kind of forming a little bit of a pack within each other. We already saw that first pack and second pack already developed, where that incident happened in the second pack. This first pack here with the main couple of leaders stretching all the way back to, I believe, Henry Clapper in the 34, who was kind of the last car in that train. So it was about an 8 or 9 car pack there, going 2 by 2 by 2, and a little bit of a draft all within proximity of each other. So at least already saw that development as we brought the green flag out, and now under our first yellow. So re-rack them up. We'll try it once more with Ryder and Basin at the front of the entire grid. They have not let up any of their positions. Really, most of the drivers through these grids, or through the grid so far, have not lost their position as of right now. Most of them just kind of trading a little bit, maybe 1 to 2 spots lost or gained, and maybe a little bit within that realm. But so far, not really many changes, as we saw everybody working to the inside, just trying to find that way. I mean, everyone was all the way down to the bottom. It seemed to be the dominant lane as Ryder was getting all the runs down there. He was able to maintain his race lead, but that outside was bringing the charge. You can see all the way up to the banking. Saw Basin getting runs, the 04 and the 02, all the Nova Sim Racing drivers who were all together pretty much up there. Were all able to kind of work together, stay up to the top, and be able to get themselves in formation and get the draft off of the high side. And I believe we might be going single file with that yellow on the first start, on the initial start. So indeed we will have single file. So we won't have double file. Everyone was finding their way in a single. So it'll be Ryder Basin, Dominic Howe, Paul Granada, and DJ Powell, your top 5 that'll lead them back to the green flag on lap number 8 of 100. Still a long way to go. We'll see if we get a longer run this time by, as the pace truck is all the way down and we're back under green from Bristol. Easy start for Ryder, but maybe some challenge to the outside for Dylan Basin. He's going to try to work up the banking. Maybe some separation over to Dominic Howe. They're side by side, a little bit back for that 4th spot between Granada and Powell. They're working side by side. Saw 3 wide a little bit further back into the group around where James Youngman was. Here's a gaggle of cars around Henry Clappert, the 31 of Benjamin White, and Anthony Wallace in number 800. They're side by side as they continue to stretch over. They're losing time, though, to the guys of Josh Patterson and everyone up front. But look at this pack. 3 or more cars over for the race lead as Marshall Ryder still holding on to the inside. Basin, though, not giving up on the top. He's a little bit loose. Got to check up and now battling with a Nova Sim Racing driver teammate. And now here comes Howe to the inside. So he's going to look for the race lead on lap number 11. Going to work the inside. Going to try to peek his nose there on the quarter panel and almost up to there as they were going off of turn number 4 and still all the way down to the inside as the number 15 Ryder will try to defend to the outside, and that's something we're probably going to see as we saw Basin up to the top and we saw Ryder now to the top. It's going to be mostly about defending that spot. That's mostly what happens on the high side here with the recent builds on iRacing, especially how the tire model works. You can rock that middle, rock the high groove, and you can get the run off the corner and stay where you are. If a driver's trying to be on the inside, you can kind of pinch him just a little bit, get up to that higher groove, up the banking, and then get the run off the corner, much like Ryder is doing here, but it's not going to be as successful as there's contact between himself and Howe. Will they save it? Yes, they will, as Basin gets by. There's going to be a huge gaggle of cars at the 15, almost around. They all save it, though. Oh my goodness, I'm not sure how they saved it, but maybe more trouble as DJ Powell got in the outside wall. Ryder gets tagged along as well, and our second caution at lap number 15, and a huge flip from Gengler as he got tagged from behind. Huge crash to start this one and involved many of the leaders. Ryder falls to 11th with damage. We'll look at the replay and see where it started. It started there with Dominic Howe was looking to the inside. It seemed as though it was all good right here. Looking to the outside. They got a little bit of the outside wall, got into him, and then checking up in that first corner. They were able to save it, though, as Basin got by, but then everybody checking up here. Cost more contact with Marshall Ryder. And then DJ Powell, who got stuck to the outside wall, got tagged by the 02 of Patterson as he was working to the inside. You can see him all the way to the inside wall, that 02, that rainbow color going back up the track, merging into the 356, gets into the 800 of Wallace, and then into Ryder, gets in at Clappert. And then the 89 of Hobbs gets a piece of it. The 84 was just trying to slow down. Got tagged right there by the 23 of Jenks. On board from the rear of the number 84. You see the 23 right there. Huge contact there. And he goes almost on his side. There's huge damage to him. He's going to be all the way in the garage. Ryder, I believe, got his repairs as Powell now goes down pit road as well. Gangler, though, stuck along with Patterson. Patterson's going to exit with a clean race car this time. And our new leader will be Dylan Basin at the line. As he got away from both of them on the outside, he was able to escape all the calamity. And now he takes the lead as we cross the line for lap number 18 of the 100 from the WORC Santa Short Track Shootout. We're going to take a short break as we're under yellow, but we'll be right back with more coverage. You're watching the WORC Santa Street Stock Shootout, or Short Track Shootout rather, right here on the KBueno Racing Network. Welcome back live to the WORC Santa Short Track Shootout right here from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway on the KBueno Racing Network. Kenneth Bueno along with you. Just had our second caution of the evening coming about lap 14. An incident involving DJ Powell and a handful of others. Meanwhile, the driver who escaped, Dylan Basin, will lead the field back to the green flag on lap number 20 as teammate Josh Patterson, or Paul Granada, excuse me, will work to the outside and Howe to the inside, looking for second. Had that lead for just a short amount of time before Ryder was able to catch back up. Ryder, though, with that wreck all the way back to 13th. They're going to have to claw their way back up to the field. Look who's up into the top 5, however. Henry Clappert and Benjamin White. Haven't seen much of them yet as they were tailing behind the main pack. Here's a crossover move as they cut across the nose. The 31 going to look down to the bottom. He's going to take over that 4th spot and tag along the rest of these guys. McDonald and Mitch Hobbs to the inside along with him. Clappert still trying to defend, but meanwhile up front, it's single file between the top 3 leaders as Hal splits the 2 Nova Sim Racing teammates. And Hal now coming for the challenge in the lead. Almost a little skip there by the number 08 of Basin, who was trying to look. He kind of flicked the tail just a little bit. But here comes the 86 as that 08 has been trying to work that high line, that middle groove, all the way through most of this race. And so far, he's been able to be successful with it so far. But Hal still persistent down to the inside. Haven't seen these two battle on the street stocks in a while. Mentioned that IceCar Street Stock KBRN Tour. They too have been added, and they were 2 of the more notable drivers. We got a caution on lap number 24 around the half or the first quarter margin. Might have been an incident involving Patrick Jenks, or maybe Matthew McDonald did heavy damage to the number 01 of Matthew McDonald as he got a huge wreck. He was hanging around that 5th, 6th spot before we got over, and we'll see exactly how this started. It was around the area of Mitch Hobbs, right behind Benjamin White. There's Henry Clappert there to the outside. Here's a look at the replay. I'm not sure whether contact may have started this one or whether contact to the wall might have had it. There it was right there, the tag from the 89. Zoe went hard into the outside wall right in the middle of the field. And had more hits from Henry Clappert. He got involved. He was an innocent bystander there. Ryan Martin had contact. Richard Mendonça had contact. As Mendonça gets damaged to the left front. Youngerman gets hit as well. Ryan Martin there. The 812 of Nako just gets by. And Matthew McDonald going for a wild ride here. I think it's a huge hit. We're riding on board with him. Just right over on his roof to the side. And just barrel rolling there to the straightaway before landing on all 4 wheels. And he's already got his fast repair, so he's back up and running. As we have our another caution, lap number 26. So we'll continue to move our way forward. We'll try to get whatever we can as Basin will continue to lead on. Still a long race to go, so there's still a lot to be said before we are done here from Bristol. So far, it's been the challenge as Hal has been really eager to get to that race lead on the bottom. He tried it with Marshall Ryder. He's trying it once again with Dylan Basin. They're most likely going to be 2 wide here, at least double wide, a double file on this next restart. So Hal maybe won't have that advantage as much and to try and make that move. But he could perform the crossover if he gets clear of 3rd place Paul Granada and the rest of the guys behind who could try to freight train onto the inside line. And here, maybe with some more help, the teammates of Basin and Granada are going to be together on the inside line. So maybe there could be some communication. Of course, everybody within team communications for the most part. Here, when you're on the same team, you're going to be talking together. You're going to be trying to configure the way together to try to give you and your teammates the best shot of winning these races, even if it's just a little shootout and going for some money on the line and going for a little prize. And of course, even then, they work together into the actual points races and try to get themselves better strategies to win themselves and have contentions for not only team championships, for driver championships as well. Basin will be on the inside. He'll be the control car when we go back green. in the next sort of a 0.25 of a mile, quarter of a mile before we get green on lap number 30 of 100. Still about more than 70 laps to go. Howe will be second. Granada will be third on the inside, with Benjamin White going to support the 86 on the top. Ryan Martin and Henry Clapper will be in row number 3, with James Youngman and Joe Gnocco in the 4th row. We're going to have the pace truck all the way down to pit road, and Basin and Howe will lead them back to the green. And I've noticed that outside line has been getting much better starts apart from that inside. Basin not as good of a run, but he's going to have the advantage. A little contact to the door of the 86 as Granada will force his way to the inside. Still there, lots of pinching between the 86 and the 04. The 86 will clear himself for second as Benjamin White tries to look over for the 4th spot. He gets over Henry Clappert, so they're all single file within the first top 5. As there goes one car on the wall, that's the 812 of Nako. He's going to get out of everyone's way and will stay green, no harm, no foul on lap number 32. Basin to the inside, still trying to block, shut that door on the 86. If that 86 finds his way and peeks his nose, it may not be good news, because that 08 can try to defend on the outside, but it may not be enough to guard off the driver who's been so hungry to get over to the front. You're riding all on board. You can see just the distance between the front bumper of the 86 and the back bumper of the 08, just smothering the rear end of that Nova Sim Racing machine. He's been trying to look over to the inside, trying to peek his way in, but he's yet to find that move. This could be it. A little contact with Basin. Bason's going to be the outside wall, and a huge crash involving multiple Nova Sim Racing drivers. McDonald, Youngman involved, Hobbs involved in the middle. And Basin, after a little bit of a bump and run, will now have his car completely totaled. We'll try to take a look at where that started, and you pretty much saw where it kicked off as Basin had that huge tap from the 86. He had the tap there right as he was getting off wide on the corner. You can see right here from the 86, he was looking at that inside. He was trying to find that opening, and the 08 happened to let that happen as he got clipped to the apron, was very loose, and drifted up the track. And then the 86 got him on the bumper, and then trying to correct the car, the 08 with a huge hit to the outside wall, involving his teammate Granada in the process. There's another look at the contact right into the 04. White got some contact there as well. The 01 and McDonald had another flip as Youngman there. Hobbs as well. And another big one. As here was Granada got into it. He got his engine completely totaled. And there was Matthew McDonald. It's not been very fair to him. I already had one flip tonight, and this is the second flip he's had. Right there, getting contact with Youngman as well. He's now over into the garage. Seems as though his night is done. As Basin and Granada are stuck all the way to the garage. There's Granada. I mean, there's Basin, there's Granada. There's Gangler going down pit road. As McDonald seems to be out of this race. Everybody else continuing their position. Here's damage, though, to number 31 of Benjamin White. Not sure whether he's going to try and get that some sort of fix, but it seems as though he's going to stay out for the most part and kind of let himself ride in second, as he's going to be behind the new race leader. Dominic Howe finally found his way to the front, albeit at the expense of the Nova Sim Racing drivers. And, of course, Basin was just trying to save the car, and that tap kind of sent him up the racetrack, but then the cars are just so violent, these street stocks, so you can try to correct them, you can try to save them the best way you can, but you can make one little move, and then all of a sudden the car just jerks over back to where you're trying to correct it, and then it could just completely send you into chaos. And that's really what happened with Dylan Basin there, just trying to hold on to a loose race car. And that contact with Howe just kind of just sent him up the track, but he was still saving the car regardless. And then it just overcorrected, snapped all the way back to the right, and then put that incident. Granada, though, had nowhere to go. Neither did White. And obviously McDonald, everybody else just trying to find his way. The 86, though, will get a penalty. It'll be an end-of-line penalty for Dominic Howe. So as soon as he just grabbed the lead with that incident, he's now going to fall back to the tail end of the field and going to have to claw his way back up to the front. New leader, though, will be Benjamin White. the number 31. Good to see him in the lead. We'll see how he handles this one. Obviously, Benjamin, a good friend of ours at the KBueno Racing Network, works over at Max Speed TV on the ice car side of things and has joined us in the booth a handful of times when we covered the Red Line Cup Series. He's going to be leading this field back to green on lap number 40 of the 100 here for the WORC Santa Short Track Shootout. The 31 off to a jump start with the Ryan Martin machine up to the high side. Here comes Clapper, though, for second. Clapper side by side for second as the 356 of Powell has found his way back into the conversation with some damage, though. And here comes Marshall Ryder, who we haven't seen since that initial incident. He's going to try to find his way. Claw to the outside. Contact over Ryan Martin. Will he save it, though? And indeed, he maybe will, but contact to the outside wall will keep him straight. We stay green so far as everyone's scrambling around to get by. White still leading as Clapper defends over for second. Here's a 3-car train, though. Powell looking to the inside to charge, but not enough. Here comes the 02 of Patterson to follow through, but lap number 43 will start with the 31 and still in the race lead. And look at this battle still behind. It is raging on between these three, Patterson, Clapper, and Powell. Now the 02 will find and screw to the outside, so he'll get by, and he'll take over the second spot. His only job now is just to try and catch and hunt down the number 31. I believe he's got a little bit of fresh tires with that recent pit stop that he had under the incident. He's still about a second, though, behind the number 31, but that definitely could go down, and it is going down. Now down to 0.933 of a second. Maybe could even go further down the road, as that 31 definitely has some damage. They're going to come to his deficit. 0.8 of a second between the two. And a caution out, lap number 46. They're working through. Seems as though it might have been an incident a little bit further back. Not sure who it involved. Saw one car around. It must have been James Youngman in the number 8 machine. He went around, and we'll take a look, see where that all started on the track. Youngman is running in the top 15 before this incident. Seems as though it started here, got loose, was 3 wide there with Ryan Martin there. You see the number 800 of Wallace. He got into contact with the 23 of Jenks, but it didn't seem too bad as Jenks went to the outside wall. The 8 was just trying to find his way, squeezed to the middle, and the car just got very, very loose on him. And there it was. It started it all as Youngman was just trying to find his way. You can see on board with him as he got contact with the 23. Tried to get over the middle. I think he saw the 23 was up to the wall, so then tried to jerk it all the way to the left and try to make sure the car was turned to the left, but then the car rotated a little bit too much. And then he was involved. He's now down to the garage. His race could possibly be up in smoke. His race could be over. We're good. There goes some of the lap cars getting by. I believe that was Basin, Granada, and Wallace, who were all at least 1 or more laps down. Basin and Paul Granada. Actually, Granada was about 4 laps down. Basin was about 2 laps down. And Wallace just 1 lap under the race leaders. There's Ryan Martin going to head out of pit road. The 31 of White still leading. And surprisingly enough, he did not go down pit road as he reached the halfway mark. Even with that damage of that wreck, he is still hanging strong. But you can tell, even through that long green flag going, even if he didn't have that yellow, that number 02 was definitely charging. He was definitely on his way. Could be to the courtesy of fresh tires after the recent pit stop. But some of the drivers have not pit at all throughout this race. And if you look at the difference here, it's been, since the drop of the green flag, since Benjamin White pit, he has not pitted once. However, for Josh Patterson, with his incident and with what he's had to deal with so far, he only pitted 13 laps ago. So now 14 is across the stripe. That is going to be a big difference when it comes over to just how these drivers will find their way and how Patterson can even handle his way, even though they will continue to wear, and that could bring a different sort of conversation into the books. You're watching the WORC Santa's Short Track Shootout right here on the KBueno Racing Network. We'll take one short break, but we'll be right back after this.
It's the thirstiest time of the year. Hey. Yeah. I have just one query.
Want a Sprite cranberry?
The answer is clear. It's the thirstiest time of the year. Sprite, let's go.
Back live from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway for the WORC Santa's Short Track Shootout as Benjamin White leads at the halfway mark, lap number 51 of the 100 scheduled for tonight. We've already had our handful of cautions, and we're going to see if we can get some sort of longer green flag run or whether they will continue here tonight. Pace truck all the way down to pit road. We're back under green at lap number 52. Benjamin White, who inherited the race lead after Dominic Howe got that end of line penalty. It seems as though it didn't hurt him too bad because he's already up into the 4th spot and found his way. He's going to find his way down to the inside. Powell going to try to guard the bottom as the 02 of Patterson will shuffle back just a little bit, and they're almost 3 wide as right there cut across the nose the 356 went, and the 86 will have to duck back a little bit. Here comes a challenge as the 02 looks for the race lead. Patterson to the front. He gets to the outside as Benjamin White going to hang on for second, but he is guarding these two. It's been a huge gate block from the number 31. Here comes Howe to the bottom. He's going to try and charge as Patterson will walk away so far on lap number 54, and there's still a 3-car train, maybe 4 if you count Gengler in the mix. Still on side by side at 31, still hanging up to the top of the banking here at Bristol, and he's been able to defend his spot so far, but right now in the mirror of that 02, it'll be all smiles as he sees these two side by side. It's going to lose them a lot more time as there's contact between the two. The 86 will find his way to the inside. They save it though and will stay green. Here comes Powell though to the outside. Gengler looking for the charge. Gengler now to the inside. He's going to look for 4th. There'll be single file now, but the 86 may not be pushing that issue. He's going to now peek the nose to the inside. He's going to look under the 31, and now the gap is still about half a second between Patterson and the rest of these guys, so it's not entirely hopeless for everybody else. There was contact there between Howe and White, so White will stay in the 2nd spot, albeit now 7/10 behind the race leader. And now we come about lap number 58. Still the 02 Nova Sim Racing driver up front. Here's a battle a little bit further back. This is for the 7th to 8th spot. That was Joe Kanako in the number 812, who's holding on to his spot in P number 7 with Henry Clappert. Anthony Wallace there as well. Here comes Richard Mendonça fighting all the way down to the outside wall. He's been kind of sticking up there as well, so he's going to try and get the run off the corner. It's kind of a 4-car battle back here, but if you look all the way back up to the front, it's all clear for the number 02 as they're still side by side for second. That 31 has not been eager to lit that spot up just yet. Now he'll succeed, and now the 86 has had just one shot of catching up to the number 02 in time. 1 second to catch, and we'll see if he does it. Howe still trying to look. It's still maintained at about a second, but it's now .966 at lap number 63. Coming to lap number 64, we'll breach across that point with about less than 40 laps to go here from Bristol. This race has gone by fairly quickly. We've had some of those yellows to couple, but this run could be our longest yet. Gap is now at a .833 seconds, so once again, we're seeing this one going in the reverse effect. It was from Patterson to White the first time around. Now it's from Patterson to Howe. Howe starting to cane in 0.766, slowly reeling that number 02 sim racing car, the Nova Sim Racing machine. He's been trying to do so at the moment. He's still got a long way to go, however, so at least there is some time between the two. And if a caution comes out, that could allow the 86 to get back up, and they'll re-rack once again. And of course, that will be to the benefit of the 86, as he'll be able to get back up. He'll be able to hang on to the outside line, and he could charge for the race lead, where that outside line has been just so strong on those restarts. And you can see every single time throughout, if you saw all those green flag restarts, you saw the outside to get a huge jump apart from maybe that recent one. It was White was the only one on the inside to try and get that move. As now White will look for third. Here's a battle between two friends, White and Hobbs. This is for P4. Hobbs, though, pitted a little bit earlier in this race. He pitted at about lap number the 29 lap, so at least at about lap number 59, around that mark. So he's got some fresh rubber underneath the hood. He's got some damage, though, from those wrecks, but he is surely gaining time in the number 31, and they're going to battle for that final podium spot. If you look a little bit further back, it's some separation between Powell and Kanako. Clapper is now in a battle there with the Nova Sim Racing driver. That's Dylan Basin. However, Basin is listed as 2 laps down, so that is not for position. And meanwhile, here's the gap. 0.5 of a second. Just half a second between the two, and closing the 86 with about 30 laps to go, trying to chase down the race leader. That was 0.3 last time by for Howe, so it is definitely getting to a close. But the question is, what does the 86 do here from on out? He tried to get by Dylan Basin, made some contact, and there was a wreck after. He tried to marshal Ryder on the inside, but Ryder held strong on the outside, and he was able to continue his stretch to the lead. But what does that 86 do? Because it's one thing to catch a car, but it is a whole nother ballpark to get around, and we'll see what the 86 will try to do. He's still within striking distance, so he'll try to look to the inside, as the 02 questionably looking over to the middle. I think just trying to get the run off of the corner. You see him about a groove higher than that 86 that time, and you can even tell it from the cockpit as they're moving in just how much throttle they're using and just how much brake they're not using on the track. And you see how looking all the way to the bottom, kind of drift back up to the top, and you see that's how he's been so quick, along with some of the tire strategy that's played a factor. Now he's been trying to look, he's been kind of washing up the track, getting to that back bumper, and he's telling him, hey, I'm here, and now there's 25 laps to go. I'm not going to let back. And now they're still side by side. If you're wondering the battle for third, it is still maintaining, so it's about a tandem in both areas of the track for first and for third, as Hobbs tried to look to the bottom, but it was just not enough a couple laps prior, and Benjamin was able to hang tight on the top up the banking, but he's been up the road just pushing it. And here's a battle, though, as the 86 snuck the nose to the inside. He's going to look under the purple and red colors all the way on the rear quarter panel. Not enough, though, to get that spot. He's going to hit the reset button and try one more time as Patterson defends the inside. Here comes Hal, trying to look over to the bottom, but that outside lane pinching just too much on the exit of the corner. Is going to approach the lap car. That's the number 23 of Jenks. He's going to try to get his way around. That is Patrick Jenks, the number 23, sitting one lap down on the track. We'll see if he gets out of the way, or whether the leaders will just try to carve their way through, or maybe Hal could find some creative way to get by. Seems though he's going to hang tight to the outside, and that won't make an effect for this lead so far. Hal still trying to catch, but there's 20 laps to go to do so. Almost to the outside wall. They're still working. Meanwhile, Hobbs has now gone by. He's edged the 31 at the line for P3. And now it seems as though he's going to take the spot away. Maybe the 31 can try to cross the nose to the outside. Here's a look, though, all the way back for 5th, 6th, and 7th. As Wallace in the number 10 machine, who's one lap down. He tried to look around Kanako and the number 356 of DJ Powell. They single file out, though. This is a battle for 5th and 6th. But meanwhile, top two in the lead, still separated by a 10th or two. And now Howe is starting to fall back just a little bit. Not enough to get to the inside. Not enough to make a pass to Patterson just yet at lap number 84. 16 laps to go as we reach next time by. Howe on the wall. He's going to lose some spots there, and he's going to find some tenth out of it. Patterson going to hold on for the lead, and that's definitely not going to help the 86's situation, as now he's been falling back significantly. Remember, that 86 did not pit on the track, so all 85 laps that 86 has been onto those tires, and that 02 has had the fresher set of rubber. He's pitted since 50 laps ago, so it's been about lap 30 since he pit, so even then that difference still makes a big one out on the track. And so far, Patterson's still looking to the bottom, and he's defending his lead. Just 14 laps to get it done. And still, it is a dogfight for that P3 spot. Now, here comes the drivers in fourth belong back. DJ Powell going to look to try and make a move as Wallace will force his issue down to the inside. Powell's now caught the rear bumper of that number 89 machine, and White continues to hold on for second. But now the question comes, in these next laps, if a caution comes out, that will definitely change the game, because then drivers can go down, they can get some sort of tires on their car, and Howe could have a much more competitive car compared to the likes of Patterson. Maybe they could be on equal footing if they pit at the same time, but that only will raise if a caution comes out. Gap at about 5/10 now between Patterson and Howe. The last time by, more specific, it was about 5/10 flat between the two. So it is growing once again as we come to 10 laps to go from Bristol and the WORC Santa short track shootout. Patterson still edges, and Howe still trying to hunt down. And there's contact, though, behind, maybe with a lap car. Almost there to the outside wall. As Dominic Howe got into contact, he was trying to make the most of his exit. And Ryan Martin, who was there on the outside, they made door-to-door contact. You can see the damage there on the right front of the number 86. And that is definitely going to hurt him with about 8 laps to go here from Bristol. Now 1.5 seconds, but a caution at lap number 93. Most likely Mitch Hobbs around on the track. He's out of this race. And we'll see if that was him. I think it might have also involved Joe Kanako as well. Here's the look, and there's the crash right there. Howe, or Hobbs at least, to the outside. Kanako got turned. And that brings out our yellow with 6 laps to go at the stripe. There's the contact more between Wallace and Kanako. As now, this will change everything. Don't see any drivers, though, down pit road, so I'm not sure whether they will elect to do so this time by. Howe may be looking at it. Howe may be flirting with it. He is down pit road. He'll try to get the tires. However, he will lose track position. Benjamin White stays out. DJ Powell and Kanako stay out. Henry Clappert as well will stay out. Mendonça will stay out. Actually, Clappert will go down pit road. Gangler will also go down pit road. Wallace will stay out. He is 1 lap down, but could possibly get a wave around as Mitch Hobbs is back on the track. He's going to get his wave. He's going to be back on the lead lap. As now, anything could change. It was looking all like Patterson was going to run away with it. But now things can change, but now, at least with Howe's case, he's going to be down pit road. He's going to lose some sort of spots. He'll maybe fall out of P7 at the worst. So he's going to have a lot of ground to catch up, but if he doesn't have enough, it's just going to either send Patterson or anyone else with the win in the WORC Santa short track shootout. So Nova Sim Racing, after gone from 3 cars, Poland for the top 5, it's been down, cut to just 1 at Patterson, as Granada and Basin seem to be too far behind to really put anything up for grabs. Paul Granada sitting 4 laps down, and Dylan Basin, who was up in the lead at one point, is sitting 2 laps down. He has not gotten a wave since. So here we go. Gonna get the 1 to green signal from the pace truck with 3 laps to go. It'll be most likely an organic green-white checkered. But should we get to that moment, there will be only 2 green-white checkers enabled for this race. So if we get a yellow now, from here on out, we'll get a restart. We'll re-rack them up, and we'll start our green-white checkered attempt. We'll go on our first attempt. We'll rack them up. We'll start again with 2 laps to go. We'll try to get to the finish of this race. If a yellow comes out before the drop of the white flag, then we will re-rack them up, try our second time. If a caution comes out before we get to the white flag on the second attempt, the field will be frozen under yellow. The race will end under caution conditions. However, if we get to the white flag in either one of these attempts, if we get pushed that far, then we will just run to the finish. Whatever happens, happens, and the first driver to cross the start-finish line will win this race, and we won't have anything else to decide from there. So it's either we end this race now, we could push it into green-white checkers, get a finish in, or it could drag all the way out, and we could end under yellow. However, that lead could still be up for grabs, depending on just what happens, and we'll just have to find out. The pace truck will move its way into turn 3 and 4 for what could possibly be the final time tonight. Patterson up and away. We're back under green from Bristol. Here comes a charge, though, from DJ Powell. Here comes Dominic Howe to the inside in third. Powell up the track. Howe a little bit loose, though. He might get some contact. Clapper, though, around. More contact with Hobbs. Will there be a yellow flag? As we know, we've reached the white flag. Patterson out in front. Powell a little bit further behind. But there's no challenge into 3 and 4 for the final time. Nova Sim Racing and Josh Patterson will win the WORC Santa Short Track Shootout here from the Bristol Motor Speedway. After leading a good portion of this race, survives for the win. DJ Powell will finish second. Benjamin White will hold on for P3 in the podium spot. Dominic Howe got it loose to finish fourth. Anthony Wallace, who was 1 lap down for most of this race, will finish in P5. There's Patterson in the O2. Gonna celebrate right in front of the virtual fans on the front straightaway at the start-finish line, after leading about 48 laps. And you see it there, started 8th, and clawed his way to first. There's the Nova Sim Racing driver, teammate almost getting into him. As Patterson will burn it down. And we'll look at our unofficial race results from the WORC Santa Short Track Shootout. Of course, Josh Patterson with your win here tonight after leading a good portion of this race, almost about halfway. And then he took the lead and never let go ever since. DJ Powell, though, will finish second. Benjamin White will finish for a podium spot, so we'll get to interview him. That'll be a lot of fun. Dominic Howe, after coming for the race lead multiple times on end, got that end-of-line penalty, got his way back up. Almost had no shot at winning as he lost time to Patterson and then tried to get new tires, and ultimately did not work out for him whatsoever. Anthony Wallace will come home for P5 after being a lap down for most of this race, so a rally back. Richard Mendonça will finish in 6th, with Alec Gengler in the number 84 finishing 7th. Joe Kanako in the number 812 will finish in 8th, with Mitch Hobbs finishing the 9th position, and Patrick Jenks, 1 lap down, will be the top 10. Here's the rest of this field, 11th through 20th. Kenry Clappert will be 11th. Dylan Basin, 2 laps down, was trapped there with teammate Paul Granada. They finished 12th and 13th. Ryan Martin will finish 14th in the 9 machine. Marshall Ryder, who started this race from the front, never came back from his incident early on, will finish the 15 car in 15th. Tonight, Matthew McDonald, after 2 horrendous flips, will finish 16th. James Youngman, after a huge crash, will finish 17th, with Peter Kenny, Casey Flegel, and Max Zurich 18th, 19th, and 20th. Drivers who did not start and did not grid for this race. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have our KBRN post-race coverage brought to you by SDC. We'll have interviews with the top 3 and, of course, our recapping thoughts as we go over into the 2 days of the holiday season, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Don't go anywhere. We've got more coming next. Welcome back to the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway, where we kick off our KBRN post-race coverage, brought to you by SDC. It was 100 laps from the last great Coliseum, and of course, one of the fun races, the WORC Santa Short Track Shootout, and we had a lot of fun here tonight. Lots of chaos, lots of long green flag runs near the end, but it was Josh Patterson who took the win here tonight from Bristol, who held on the freshest rubber of them all and was able to steal away this win. For Nova Sim Racing will bring him in. And Josh, I mean, we've interviewed you for the past couple of weeks being in the A&B Outdoors Quick Time Sprint Car Series, but now over on the WORC side, you steal this win in a little fun race just before we unwrap the presents on Christmas Day and celebrate over a little bit earlier on Christmas Eve tomorrow night. This race, though, however, for you was all about that second half. It was moving towards that part, and those fresh tires really helped you. Was that really the main reason why you were able to stay up to the front? And just give us your thoughts about that run to the finish with Dominic Howe.
You know, surprisingly, I never actually took tires. I was on the first set the entire time. I never took my faster pair. So, I mean, compared to everyone else, I think I had a pretty clean night. I know most of the field took their faster pair. I was lucky enough to not get major enough damage to, you know, use the faster pair, although I was involved in multiple wrecks. I got, I think, 12X by the end of the night. So, yeah, I was definitely, you know, lucky to keep it on track without the incidents, without, you know, any big incidents, I guess. But yeah, racing Dominic, I guess I was just, you know, a little slower than him for a while. He got all the way back up to me, and then I was thinking we were going to have a good battle, and we did. And then I guess I sort of picked up. He dropped off a little bit, and then, yeah, I was pulled away, and then Ryan Martin put him in the wall or whatever happened there. I'm not too sure, but yeah, so that ended his race, and yeah, I was home free.
You were definitely home free, especially in that segment, but also when it came over to that last restart. And we saw over the course of the night, I'm pretty sure you had a good look at it, just how aggressive those starts were, especially as all the drivers were kind of in that pack and you were kind of in the midst of all things. And most of the time where that outside kind of held strong at some point to hold on for position, and that inside would kind of get some port over one, but it really wasn't enough to get underneath unless it was kind of a full send. But what did you really learn the most about this track in this car, considering the fact that these are very underpowered and this track kind of handles a lot differently than what you'd expect from a lot of the other stock cars that the WORC League usually races?
I don't know. I definitely learned that these things, you can sort of hold off until like old tires and it'll still work. I've raced these cars once before in ice car. I got second. So, I mean, I knew I was, you know, at least decent here, but yeah, no, it definitely, I could feel like I was fast all night. I definitely wasn't as fast as some of the guys at the beginning, but as the night, you know, swept in and the track got rubbered in, it definitely came to my advantage. But yeah, I don't know, definitely a learning experience with these things, but you know, it all came together for me at the end of the night.
Certainly came together, and the stars did align here on the Santa Short Track Shootout. Josh, before we let you go, I know there's a lot of people you'd have to thank, and I know you've given your thanks in the A&B Outdoors Quick Time Sprint Car Series. We'll let you go over your thanks here tonight with your team sponsors or anyone else who'd just like to give a love and shout out to for this race.
Well, I got to thank everyone at Nova Sim Racing, as per usual in these ovals. NTN, Endurance Distributions, JP Designs. I gotta give a shout out to Brayson Collins, Henry Clappert, and Paul Granata for, you know, putting this whole event together and, you know, running it relatively well, besides the, you know, couple of instances we had with a couple of people. But besides that, it was run really, really well. Gotta give a shout out especially to Paul for putting up the $10. So I got that. I got to give a shout out to you for, you know, broadcasting this. It's nice to have a broadcaster here in WORC. That's not Brayson, no offense to him, but your broadcasts are really good. I love seeing him every week. And I got to give a shout out to everyone on track for, you know, giving me a great race.
Well, Patterson, you're $10 richer, and of course, you've won tonight's short track shootout. We give our congratulations over to you, and of course, we thank you for taking the time to join us here. And of course, congratulations once again, and we look forward to seeing what you can do for the rest of the time, I guess. And of course, happy holidays and a Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, thanks. Happy holidays.
That's Josh Patterson, your winner here tonight from the Bristol Motor Speedway. We'll kick back to second, where the number 356 of DJ Powell started fourth, had a ride through this field, and came back to finish second. And DJ, we saw you up the front of the field at the beginning of this race. You started. Oh, I guess he's kind of sitting back, so I guess we'll let him speak. Actually, we'll bring our third place car before we get to Powell. We'll go with the number 31 of Benjamin White, who will be joining us on pit road. And Benjamin, I know this is kind of a very new sight because we're used to seeing you up in the booth with me, well, especially when we covered the Redline Cup Series and over in IceCar, where we were also in the booth together. You were a driver, though, this time around in this shootout, and you were lighting fast in that last run. You had a good amount of laps led to your resume, but you also had a charge for the leaders. You had a battle for second and third. Walk us through this experience for you here at Bristol and just how this car was catering to your benefit here tonight.
I'm just very surprised with the result, honestly, because this is the first time I've ran this car and track combo, so I really had no clue what to expect coming in. Then I qualified pretty decent, maybe a 10th off the pole, and I thought, okay, we might make something out of this, and I got crashed in the heat, which wasn't fun, but made my way up through the field, had a little bit of damage, actually didn't pit the whole race, never went to pit road, so was just driving the hell out of 100-lap old tires, pretty much, and it was a fun time. And I had two people in my voice chat, Mitch Hobbs, Dominic Howell. They kept ranting at me, saying they couldn't pass me, but I felt like Ryan Newman out there for sure. Everybody was struggling to get by me, even the guys that finished in front of me. So I don't know. It's just a surprising result for me. Third place. It's just been a good first few weeks because I've got a new computer now, so I can actually run races without falling through the servers and everything. So it's been a nice experience, and just looking to improve, get better, and maybe click off some more wins.
And just to mention, obviously, Hal and obviously Mitch Hobbs, who you're battling with for a good chunk of that second segment. It was a lot of fun to watch. You guys are trading blows and just pretty much being at each other's bumpers. It was a lot of fun to watch. And, of course, you and Hal had your fair share of battles tonight. And I want to talk more about that damage because you had that damage to your front end after one of the incidents caught you in. I believe it was the one with Dylan Basin and Parganata where you were just trying to grab your way through. And then one of the cars just went careening across the track and you had nowhere to go. But with that damage, how different did the car feel? I know that obviously with older tires, this car seems to perform a lot better in terms of grip, but with that damage, did that really affect the way the car handled, maybe a little less comfortable, or what really changed after that damage was accrued?
I actually felt like it drove better, and it's really weird to say that, but I would argue I was faster with that damage than not. It's weird to say because iRacing damage almost always makes you slower, but I felt like I was able to hang on to spots better when I had that damage, which is just, I would have never thought that. I thought I would have to take my fast repair, but seeing that I wasn't down power and that I was going to be in the lead because Dominic was he was going to have a penalty, I decided to stay out and led some laps and then got passed on the ensuing restart, which I wasn't surprised. There was people with new tires chasing after me, so I was just happy to hang on to a top 5 and show what I can do out on the raceway.
We're certainly a lot of fun watching you over on the track, which you usually don't see too often. So it was a lot of fun seeing you in that perspective as a driver. Benjamin, of course, before we let you go, I know there's a lot of people you have to thank for your efforts. So who do you got to thank? Any team sponsors or anyone you decide to give the shout-outs to for tonight?
I'd like to thank you for broadcasting, first off, Kenneth. You always do an incredible job every broadcast you do, so this is no exception here, and must have been a fun race for you to watch. I also want to thank Mitch Hobbs and Dominic Howe for being in the voice chat with me and helping me a little bit, even though they were just yelling at me the whole time because they couldn't pass me. It's all fine, but it was just a lot of fun out there. I have to thank the WORC admins. They put on a pretty decent event here, and it was fun to race. When we had those green flag runs, it was incredible. So just hats off to everybody that organized this event.
Well, Benjamin, of course, your support is much appreciated, and it was a lot of fun watching you over on the track and battling and hearing out. And, of course, congratulations on your P3 finish. We appreciate the time, Benjamin, and, of course, I know the next 2 days will be very exciting for you and your family. Of course, Christmas coming up, so we wish you a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas, and we wish the best, obviously, for you and your families.
Thank you.
That's Benjamin White. Usually don't see him on the track, but he finishes in P3 tonight from Bristol. We'll bring in our final driver. Couldn't get him in on pit road before, but we'll get DJ Powell, who finished in second. DJ, and now I'll bring you in. I'll chase you down on pit road, and now we bring you in, and you had a strong run through the heat. We saw you had a strong run through this race. You started in fourth, and you crawled your way all the way back to second. You kind of had a good glimpse of the midfield where you were kind of hanging around. Just give us a glimpse of what that charge was like at the end, because I know you got caught up in some incidents earlier and you had some damage, but you found your way back into the conversation right at the last second in that final restart. Just give us a glimpse of what that was like.
Yeah, once I got caught up in that wreck early, I think it was like lap 5, I knew from then when I pitted to take tires, I just needed to save them, because I knew when we ran the league race earlier at Bristol, we had a long green flag run. And I was like, all right, we're probably going to have another one, so try to save as much as I could for the end. And I was actually hoping we could get a caution at like 20 to go so I could pit for a set of tires, but we never got it.
Well, I know a lot of people, they didn't decide to go down pit road to this race. That seemed to be a reoccurring thing that we saw. Some drivers would find their way down either due to damage or some other cause, but some drivers did not even bother to go down pit road. But at least for this long run, I know there wasn't really too much of a long run in the first half of the race, but that second half brought the green flag run to its maximum limit until we had that caution with about 4 laps to go. What was the car feeling like out there, and how did it really handle over the course of that run, especially as you were around that traffic the whole time?
It definitely got a lot tighter as the run went on. It would shove the nose from center off. And with it being a fixed setup, there's really not much. There's nothing you can really change other than your brake bias. And I was actually having to use the brake going into the turn to try to get the car to free up center off for me.
All right, well, DJ, nonetheless, that last restart was magic for you, and he called your way to a second place finish, which surely would mean a lot, especially after the night you've had. Before we let you go, I know there's a lot of people you got to thank. Any sponsors, teams, or really anyone else is there that you'd like to give the shout-outs to for tonight?
Mainly just WORC for putting this race on. I'm actually not on no team. I don't have no sponsors. But I run Xfinity cars a lot, so I'd like to thank Brandon Built Motorsports. Their name and logos on my car mainly because that's who I work for in the real world.
All right, DJ, well, we thank you so much for taking the time to join us out on pit road, and congratulations on your P2 finish here in the Santa Short Track Shootout. And, of course, over the next few days, we wish you happy holidays for you and your family. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
DJ Powell, your second place driver here tonight. That'll finalize all 3 of the top interviews from the Bristol Motor Speedway. Well, to recap things off, I'd usually have someone in the booth with me to do so, but unfortunately we don't. So at least I'll be just recapping here tonight. And of course, the street stocks have been here at Bristol before on the official side, and obviously in the WORC street stock side, of the ASCAR side, it's been here, and it's brought the same sort of action. Drivers on the inside, the tires wearing down, lots of crashes throughout, but also even some good long green flag run racing with guys on the outside utilizing some of the different grooves that are available here at Bristol. And it certainly was a lot of fun, especially as Josh Patterson would hold on to win this race. And of course, got to thank everybody over at WORC for bringing this action and this event to us, and of course bringing this event to life and having us having it broadcast here on the KBueno Racing Network. So appreciation to Bryson Collins, Josh Patterson, Paul Granata, Benjamin White, Henry Clapper, Joe Berge, all the admins that make these things possible and that help these events get organized the way they do. And of course, a thank you to all of you, the viewers, for tuning in tonight. If you tuned in from the beginning to the end of the race, so we appreciate you. And no matter when you tuned in, we certainly appreciate your support. And we look forward to covering even more for you as we move on to the rest of the 2020 year. Moving over into 2021, going to be a new transition. It has been a wild year for everybody, but what has been a very interesting year for the KBueno Racing Network. And of course, from all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, for Charlie Baier, Francisco Bacalhau, Keelan Belshaw, Eli Comerford, all the people involved in the KBueno Racing Network, we thank you so much for watching. And of course, a happy holidays to every one of you. We wish you a safe celebration with you and your families. Good night from Bristol.